Hi everyone, and welcome to the Goulburn River Solar Farm Community Engagement Session. We're just going to give everyone a few minutes to sign on, so bear with us. In the meantime, we'll play a short video of our Wellington Solar Farm. Good evening, and thanks for joining us for this overview of the proposed Goulburn River Solar Farm. My name is Stephen Archer, and I'm the Development Manager for Lightsource BP. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land, wherever you may be joining us from. We pay our respects to the elders, past and present. I'm on Darwin country, south of Sydney, and to everyone listening in from Wiradjuri country, welcome. Tonight's session consists of a pre-recorded overview of the project, highlighting key information, presented by both myself and my colleague, Diana Mitchell, Lightsource BP's Principal Environmental Planner. Project overview will be followed by a live Q&A session, where representatives from our environmental and social consultants, Umwelt, will be joining us to answer your questions. Throughout the Q&A session, you'll be able to type any questions you may have into the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to provide you with the answers. At the end of the session, if you do not get around to answering your question, we'll ensure to get back to you with an answer if you've left your contact details. Alternatively, please don't hesitate to reach out to us via the project email or phone line, and we'll get back to you with an answer and any further questions you have. We've also put together a dedicated webpage for this project, which has additional information and will be updated as the project progresses through the planning process. This is our first round of community engagement sessions that we'll be running for this project. We hope to run a second in-person engagement session early next year, which will provide more details on the project and provide you with another opportunity to ask questions, raise concerns, and have a general input into the project. At Lightsource BP, we firmly believe that renewable energy is the key to addressing the dual challenge, creating more energy while reducing emissions and combating climate change. For over a decade, we've been committed to making sure that all of our projects are designed and developed to support and sustain rural businesses and rural communities well into the future. Our teams have extensive experience in planning, community engagement, and land management. While we've developed over 200 projects across the globe here in Australia, we currently have 3 projects under construction, the most progressed of which is the Wellington Solar Farm in New South Wales, just down the road. Lightsource BP is absolutely focused on being a responsible solar developer. This figure summarises our sustainability commitments to make solar energy the natural choice to achieve net zero emissions, and while doing so, create a positive impact across the whole value chain. We champion the rural economy by ensuring our projects promote the local supply chain to truly become homegrown energy assets that communities can be proud of. We achieve this by canvassing the local business community to ensure that we support local businesses to the fullest extent, setting local employment quotas for our contractors, and providing community benefits funds through partnerships with local organisations. We're committed to making sure that our projects are designed as dual-use operations. An example of this can be seen at our Wellington solar farm over in Wellington, where some 500 sheep will graze amongst the rows and panels. The site is fitted with cattle grids, livestock fencing, and sheep yards to allow for permanent livestock operations. The Goulburn River Solar Farm will be designed with agriculture in mind, as we anticipate that up to 1,000 sheep will graze on site once the solar farm is operational. This achieves two things. Firstly, it ensures the land retains an agricultural use and provides an opportunity for the rural community. And secondly, it helps us manage pasture growth and reduce the bushfire risk. Supporting the rural economy and boosting biodiversity are key priorities for us in the design of our solar farm. The following video provides an overview of how our solar farms retain agriculture and boost local biodiversity. The Goulburn River Solar Farm is located on 2,000 hectares of privately owned land, surrounded by the Goulburn River National Park. Our plan is to develop about 850 hectares of the land with solar, leaving the remaining 1,150 hectares for grazing and rehabilitation. The main access to the site will be from the north of Wallara Road and the Golden Highway. These roads have been surveyed and represent the safest option to manage the traffic during construction and during operations. Here are some key facts and figures about the project. During the construction period, we anticipate the project will provide up to 500 full-time equivalent jobs, including electrical trades personnel, machinery operators, riggers, and labourers. Each year, the Goulburn River Solar Farm will produce enough energy to power 180,000 homes. At its peak output, it will supply 4% of the total New South Wales electricity demand. The project is designed to house a battery on site, allowing daytime renewable energy to be shifted to the nighttime peak. About 950,000 panels will be installed across the site, and the project will avoid some 705,000 tonnes of emissions each year. The land was specifically chosen for this project because of two key attributes: the existing overhead power line and the visual seclusion from nearby neighbours. One of the major power arteries of the state runs directly overhead, meaning the project will not require any new overhead power lines to connect to the national network. With our only neighbour being the national park, the solar farm will remain out of sight from most angles, reducing the visual impact from neighbouring communities. I'll now hand you over to our Principal Environmental Planner, Diana Mitchell, who will talk through the planning application process and discuss the environmental and social assessment, which will be undertaken as part of the environmental impact statement. Over to you.
Thanks, Stephen. As mentioned earlier, this is the first round of community engagement sessions we will be running for this project, as we are still in the early stages of the planning process. The project will be assessed under the New South Wales State Significant Development Assessment process under Part 4 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act. As the project may potentially impact threatened species and ecological communities listed under the Commonwealth Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act, it will also be referred to the Commonwealth Department of Agriculture, Water and Environment. If considered to be a controlled action by the Commonwealth, we will pursue a bilateral assessment with New South Wales. The project is currently in its scoping phase, which includes preliminary environmental and social assessments that are being undertaken by UMWorld. Key matters that have been raised in the preliminary environmental assessment to date include traffic and transport, threatened species and ecological communities, known Aboriginal heritage, and European heritage. We plan to lodge these preliminary assessments with a request for Secretary's environmental assessment requirements with the New South Wales Department of Planning, Industry and Environment before the end of the year. Following receipt of the environmental assessment requirements, Umwelt will undertake a number of detailed specialist investigations as part of the environmental impact statement for the project, including biodiversity, heritage, visual, noise, traffic and transport, to name a few. We intend to lodge the environmental impact statement with the department mid-next year. In parallel with the environmental impact statement process, we'll be undertaking a social impact assessment in line with the department's social impact assessment guidelines. The intent of the social impact assessment is to address matters important to the community. In order to do so, we are keen to understand your views, issues, interests, and concerns in relation to the project. Your views are important to the project's planning, design, and assessment. Our aim during the current scoping phase of the project is to introduce the project and gather your early feedback. We've established a project website, hotline, and project email address where you can get in touch with us, and we're keen to understand how you would like to be involved and engaged on this project moving forward. In addition to this community engagement session, we are currently hosting project briefings with key government agencies, holding personal meetings and interviews, and conducting feedback surveys. We hope to run a second in-person engagement session early next year during the preparation of the environmental impact statement, which will provide more detail on the project and also provide you with another opportunity to ask questions and raise concerns. Community engagement is a vital part of all of our projects, and as safety is one of our core values, we have adjusted our process for COVID-19 and moved this round of community engagement sessions online. However, we understand that not everyone has access to the internet. So if you know of anyone who was unable to attend this event but would like to speak with us, please pass on our contact details, which can be found on the project website or in the information leaflet sent to your home. And we look forward to hopefully meeting you in person at our next engagement session early next year. We will now go live to the Q&A session with myself, Stephen, and the team from Umwelt, where you can ask questions by typing them into the Q&A box. At the end of the session, if we cannot get to your question, we'll ensure to get back to you with an answer if you have provided us with your contact details. Alternatively, please don't hesitate to reach out via the project email or phone line, and we'll get back to you with answers to any further questions you may have. Thank you for listening.